Can you offer any observations of tendencies that Westerners tend to experience in trying to relate to devotion? Various profiles, you might say.
I think sometimes, not just to Westerners, but people in general tend sometimes to be very naive. They also, not just Westerners, get caught up in the personality of the teacher. And they forget that the personality is not what they're going for refuge to. Obviously, the Nirmanakaya has to take on a form. That's part of the compassion of the Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya, that they take on a form we can relate to. But that person that we're relating to is not what we're going for refuge to. We're going for refuge to the Buddha mind. The Buddha mind which he has or she has, which we also have, but through our opening to them can therefore activate our own awareness of our own true nature. Because the ultimate refuge is our own Buddha mind. It's certainly not a person. And people get sometimes very caught up in the personality of the teachers, and whether the teacher smiled at them or didn't smile at them, and whether they're difficult or not difficult, and so forth. And this can be an impediment. The Buddha said that those who see my body and those who hear my voice, they don't see me. It's only those who really realize my Dharma. Those are the ones who experience the Buddha. And what went for him then goes for us now also, that we sometimes get caught up in the non-essentials, and that obstructs for us from what the actual relationship is supposed to be about. But that's not just Westerners. Everybody has this problem. And some lamas seem to play on that because they have very strong personalities. And they play on that personality. And I feel that in sometimes could be a disservice, because then people get tangled up in knots about their relationship. Whereas, the whole point is to drop this duality and realize the essential oneness. But not the oneness to their difficult personalities, obviously. And also, Westerners especially assume that once you've found your Lama, all your problems are solved, and that somehow or other from then on you go zipping along the Dharma path, and enlightenment is just around the corner. And of course that's not true at all. As I said, half the people come and complain because they don't have a Lama, and the other half come and complain because they do. The books make it sound very easy, but it isn't easy. And I don't think, quite frankly, that for many people they're at a stage where even a Lama, a heart Lama, could be of much use. I mean, truly, our minds are so full of junk and so completely uncontrolled that even if the Buddha himself was standing in front of us, all he could say would be, practice. So, we can say that to ourselves standing in front of a mirror. And then do it.
Well, that's an interesting statement, that most people are not ready for a heart, that kind of heart connection. And that makes me curious about what kind of foundational work that a person really needs to do or cover before either entertaining that kind of relationship or being a viable candidate, for having it be of relevance or of use to them.
Well, obviously different lamas will say different things. Personally, I think that the very least we need is to be able to have some basic control over the mind. and the ability to quieten the mind when we need the mind quietened, and to center the mind when we need the mind centered. If we are also able to relax the mind enough that it can completely open when we want it to, that would be very nice too. But at least we should make some, I mean, again, using the musical parallel, if one was wants to become a pianist, then in the beginning you don't need, Bernstein to help you to start your piano playing. You just need, first of all, you have to learn your scales. And when you've got your scales down and you can play simple pieces, then maybe a more competent teacher can really inspire you. But in the beginning, I mean, whoever he is, what can they say? They're going to say, practice your scales. And in a way, you're just wasting your time running around trying to look for, the greatest pianists in the world, when all you need to do, really, very well, is to learn how to, do your basic practices. There's a certain point at which you do need to have very high technical advice, but in the beginning, just get on and work. People have this idea that if they can find a perfect guru, they don't need to work anymore. He's going to somehow do it all. That's going to be that magical relationship, and it's all going to be done for them. But it isn't like that at all. And just sitting in front of a great Lama and getting a zap isn't it either. I mean, it's nice to meet with great lamas, and it's a great inspiration, but if you spend your life going, meeting one lama after the other lama, getting one wong after the other wong, endless empowerments, endless teachings, endless lamas, a whole list, you have an album full of all the lamas you met with and your picture next to them, so what? Who cares? I mean, even if you read the life of the Mahasiddhas, so often they met one Lama one time, they got one teaching, they went off and practiced it, and then they accomplished. They never saw the Lama again. Everybody wants it easy nowadays, the quick fix. But if you read the life of anybody, I mean, even someone like Milarepa, spent his whole life practicing. She was saying he didn't just do a 3-year retreat and say, well, that's it, now I'm a Lama. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, even people like Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche and things, they spent 20 years or so in retreat. And they already started at an incredible level, beyond anything we could hope for. And that was when they began. And they didn't say, now I've got it all, why bother? I mean, that was just the beginning. We are lazy. We are truly lazy. We say we want enlightenment, but, we want somebody else to do it all for us. The perfect method, which, in 5 minutes, just sitting there and relaxing the mind and I can get it. Nobody wants to really put the effort into it anymore. But if you look at the great lamas, they all made so much effort, including the Buddha himself. I mean, there's a certain point where you drop the effort, but you have to start with the effort, otherwise how are you going to get anywhere? I mean, even Mozart had to work at being a pianist, even though he was so incredibly talented beyond thought. He still had piano teachers. He still had to practice. And even the greatest lamas, they all had their teachers. They all went and did years and years and years and years of retreat and studies. All the great lamas, if you hear about them, And the reason why these people now who give quick fix, solutions are so popular is because nobody really wants to really put any real, genuine effort into it. Yeah, 10 days Vipassana retreat, and then that's it. It's amazing how many people assume that they can, by attending a few courses or going to see a few lamas can get enlightened in one lifetime. I don't know what books they've been reading. I mean, it's true Dzogchen says that there's nothing to do. Okay, but you have to be at that level before you can say that there's nothing to do, to actually realize it. It's true where we are here is it, but to say this is it, then has one's mind expanded to embrace the whole of space? Is one really in a timeless level? Has infinite compassion really born in one's mind? Is one's mind awoken to the 5 wisdoms, spontaneous play? It's easy to say. Sounds good. So maybe a few 100,000 belly flops is not a bad idea.